Welcome to the Oldcastle Inventor video series, creating half-box bars with Chloe. In this video, I will attempt to demonstrate the steps necessary to create a full reinforcement cage using the Chloe command create half-box bars. This command will allow the user to put a steel mat in the slab and the vertical and horizontal bars in the walls. It's important to note here that this command will cover most steel design configurations, but not all. More complicated designs, say for instance one that has inside and outside mats, will further require the use of additional Chloe commands. Let's start by opening up your steel assembly. Alright, so a couple of things to point out here is that I have an opening in my short wall, and this will allow me to demonstrate the way that certain bars are cut around the opening. I also have a sump and a few lifters. Let's go to the Chloe tab and click on the Create Half Box Bars button. It's going to first ask us to pick wall 1. This is going to be one of the exterior walls. And we'll want to make 3 more clicks around the exterior of our vault. 3 and 4. It's going to ask us to pick the top of the vault. The top of the vault is referring to the exterior surface that is opposite of the joint. So in this case, because of a base section, it's going to be my bottom. And now it's asking for the bottom of the vault, but in this case, it's the joint side. If the last prompt is asking for us to pick the ceiling or the floor of the vault, this is going to be pretty much just as it says, the interior wall. And we'll want to basically just spit in the steel design information here as it was given to us. And we have a few more options that allow the user to take a little bit more control in the way that these bars are put into our vault. So I'm going to go ahead and leave these default for now, but basically we're adding in the information that pertains to this ceiling or our floor mat. It's currently set to a 6 bar at 8 inches, and our long bar size is at 12. Jumping down to some other options that will not necessarily be on the design that's been given to you, but like I said, just allows the user a little bit more wiggle room in the design. So this cell applies to any bar that's left over after a cut. So because I have a sump in the floor here, and the sump itself was actually subtracted from the concrete, leaving a recess in the floor, I want to note that any bar that's left over after it gets automatically cut, if it's 6 inches or less, it will automatically be removed or deleted out of my assembly. Moving down to the mat clearance, this is simply just the clearance. The mat offset from the edges is the distance between the exterior wall and the round part of the bar. Down here at the bottom, you'll notice 2 other checkboxes. Trim bars around openings simply means just that. Anywhere that there's missing concrete, it's going to trim those bars rather than put bars straight through that area, in this case the sump. Trim round features as squares means that it's going to make all cuts of equal length to any rebar that's left in the mat. So that basically just decreases the amount of bars that we have in our bill of materials to simplify it. Okay, let's move on to the horizontal U-bars. And again, we have a few more options up here that give us full control. But basically, you'll just want to enter in your bar size, the spacing of the horizontal bar. I'm going to leave these set to 6 to 12. Make sure your wall thickness is accurate or it's going to affect your clearance and potentially the length of your horizontal bar in either of the walls. The minimum U-bar length, again, this is the same as before in the mat. We want to probably set this as 6. The U-bar clearance, this was automatically set to 2.63 because we have this U-bar centered in wall box checked. If we uncheck it, it's going to allow us to put in the clearance and regain control of that. The U-bar offset from the bottom, we're going to leave this set at 1.5. And we're also going to leave these boxes checked because we want the horizontal bars trimmed. Now there's one thing to note here, that if my horizontal legs are going through a block out, they will not be trimmed. Only the vertical bars will be trimmed if they're going through a block out. Okay, moving on to the vertical bars. The vertical bars, we're going to leave it at 4s at 8. The L bar width is pertaining to the short leg in our slab down here. We're going to change this to 18. Again, we have a couple options up here. Vertical bars are U bars. That's currently unchecked, so they will in fact come in as L bars. Shortened vertical bars on the end walls. This simply means that we have the option to have an alternative width for our L bar legs on our walls or our short walls. I'm going to leave that unchecked because I'd like it to all be uniform around the vault. The vertical bar clearance control basically just gives control to the vertical bar for the clearance. This being the clearance, it's set to 0 currently. We're going to change that to 1.5. And we'll notice if we jump back to our horizontal bars that the U-bar clearance automatically changed to 2. We've got the clearance of the vertical bar, which is 1.5, plus the diameter of the vertical bar, which is 0.5, giving us 2. So that's always kind of a way of checking to make sure that everything is still linked. Now, if we were to center the U-bars in the wall, it's going to reset some values that we'll need to re-enter. And also automatically check the U-bar clearance controls. So you'll want to play around with these and just explore the different options that you as a user has. Alright, so the L bar width we have set to 18. The minimum vertical bar length, also the same thing as the horizontal bars and the mat include when they're cut. We want to take any bar out that is less than 6 inches, so we'll go ahead and leave that. This shorten every other bar basically it adds an interlace of extra bars that we have the option to change the height of. So for this example, I would like to keep this checked so you guys can see what this does. And I'm going to change this to 24 just so it's not so short. Moving down the list here, the L bar clearance from our outside wall is going to be the clearance from, just that, the exterior wall here. We can leave that at 1.5. The bent edge is referring to the shorter leg that's going into the slab, and we'll probably want to leave that the same depending on your design. The L bar from the cut edge is going to be set to 2, and the cut edge is just referring to, the same with the mat. This doesn't say cut edge, but it's essentially the same thing. It is the distance from the joint, so the very top of the vault, to where that bar actually starts. So if you were to measure it, it'd be from the joint to that round surface of where the bar starts and then goes down the wall and bends into the slab. We want to leave these boxes checked because we'd like to trim them around the openings. Go ahead and hit OK. And we'll watch as the bars come in. Notice how it's cutting the vertical bars around the openings, and it's leaving the horizontal bars uncut. Spinning this thing around, we'll notice that the sump was cut around, which is exactly what we want. There's a little bit of cleanup work. Oh, also notice that the vertical bars are in fact interlaced, and we were able to add that alternative height of 24. Well, there we have it. We've just created a full reinforcement cage by using the Chloe command, create half box bars. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.